Greetings, fellow thinkers and drinkers. Welcome to another video. I was recently asked why I have not mentioned Led Zeppelin. Well, I have, actually. I mentioned them briefly, saying that I preferred Purple to Led Zeppelin. Which does not mean I do not like Led Zeppelin. It's difficult, though conceivable, however unlikely, to have been a fan of Sabbath, Purple, and Rush, and not to have liked or listened to Led Zeppelin. Which fairly much describes me. I'm not the blues purist. And too much of their material, I think, went in that direction. And not just because of that, but for some reason, I think just about every album they produced, they managed to come up with one song, which I really do not like. Which I suppose is my problem and not theirs. But since I'm reviewing it and not them, I will be mentioning it. Yeah, look, obviously, we don't need to get into the background here. And today especially, probably their reputation um, is higher than that of Sabbath and Purple. I mean, that was not hindered or perhaps was helped by the fact that they stopped in 1980 under tragic circumstances, no doubt. But they didn't have that 80s, maybe even 90s decline. They may have been impervious to it. We don't know. But certainly that's something that both Purple and Sabbath experienced to greater or lesser degrees. But yes, I mean, they are one of the big three. One should really say big four, but Uriah Heep often get overlooked in this. But yes, Sabbath, Purple, and Zeppelin are commonly and perhaps justifiably held to be the big three when it comes to hard rock heavy metal, or the gestational period, or what became hard rock heavy metal came from those. They are less. In Sabbath, it's very easy to see that. Purple were more diverse, and Zeppelin perhaps even more diverse. As we will see shortly, they do have their songs, which very much are precursors, shall we say, of heavy metal, or even when the genre had established itself, could be classified as that. But that wasn't all they did. By no means. And yes, they probably had the most variation in their recorded output of the three. They had a couple of other advantages over Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin, and Black Sabbath, in that they were much better managed. Once some success had been established, they were not worked to death. They didn't tour in 1974 at all. For example, Peter Grant knew what he was doing in that regard. Always leave the audience wanting more, whereas the whoever was managing Purple and Sabbath at the time, just get them out there. Short-term gain, no long-term strategy. Again, I think that contributed to their longevity, although it's not the purpose of this video, but they also had their problems along the way. Some of them they caused themselves. But we're just here to look at the music. They have a much shorter catalog than either of the other two for fairly obvious reasons. Their first album came out in 1969. Their last deliberate attempt to record new material and release it came out exactly 10 years later. We'll get to Coda in due course. Why am I a bit lukewarm on them? I don't know. It's probably as I've described. There's too much pure blues in it for my taste. I'm never a fan of that particularly. Can be quite dull and boring. But again, there's plenty of other stuff. And while they never, I don't think there's an album, from my personal taste, I think, um, yeah, that's an absolute classic. That's the wrong way of putting it. Generally, I find there's something on all of their albums that doesn't quite do it for me. But they're very consistent. They certainly didn't put out a bad album. And even the worst of their output still stands up. It's still strong, still stands up well. Okay, well, enough blathering. Their debut came out in '69, and as I've said about other bands, nobody comes into this world fully formed, but this was a potent debut. There's several very cogent reasons for that. Firstly, Messrs. Page and Jones were already well seasoned and experienced musicians. They paid their dues. The Royal, perhaps unproven at this level, talent of Plant and Bonham complemented them very nicely. But yeah, this Page especially came into this album with some songs already conceived, shall we say. He may not have conceived them, but they were conceived prior to recording. The album starts off nicely with an original composition, Good Times, Bad Times. Yes, it's nice. Hello. It opens the record nicely. Yeah, it's a good song, if not a band classic. But it's Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You where it really gets interesting. And this is, okay, it's a John Baez cover. And she was actually credited. This is where Page talked about, he had this idea of light and shade in the music. I think this exemplifies it fantastically. This is a great arrangement. A really great arrangement. Stunning performance by all concerned. You Shook Me is Hooker, isn't it? Cover, Blue Standard. Oh, God. If you like this stuff, I'm sure, I'm sure you're thrilled. If you don't like it, it's a skipper for me. Yeah, can't listen to it. Dazed and Confused, I'm afraid, as well. Yeah. This has proved another one of their songs has provided employment for lawyers over the years. It's credited to Page on the original release, and on a subsequent re-release, eventually credited to Page but being inspired by Joe Holmes. I mean, really. I can deal with it on the record. It's when they came to play it live and they stretched it into 30 minutes snooze fests with some inspired jamming in between, but lots of it. It's fine on the record the way it is. It's a nice ominous song. It's heavy actually for Zeppelin, moody, and that sort of. It's not Sabbath-esque, but it's. I don't think they ever got closer. Your Time Is Gonna Come is a pretty good song. Always like that. It's an area they never really return to, but it's a good song. Black Mountain Sides, Jimmy instrumental, that's fine. Then Communication Breakdown is your prototype metal. Must have been strange to hear it at the time. This did precede anything by Black Sabbath or Deep Purple in rock, and there was nothing really comparable on the initial Deep Purple albums. Great, it's a lovely song. Okay, I can't quit you, baby. Again, it's more of this traditional blues stuff. If you like this sort of thing, then yes, I'm sure you think this is great. I don't. It's letting the side down. And how many more times? Actually, it's better when I played it again prior to this video. Actually, I was quite surprised by how much I enjoyed that. I seem to have forgotten about it over the years. It's a good song. It's strong. It's a bit repetitive, but it's strong. Interestingly, apart from Dazed and Confused, very little of what of this album had a lasting place in the live show. Just saying. Despite some fairly intensive touring, it wasn't long before they were back in the studio. Although, a la Deep Purple, they were writing and recording these things piecemeal, as gaps in the touring schedule opened up. But John's much more involved, I think, by this stage. In the songwriting, I mean, and obviously confidence is up. The debut was very well received. They've been going down the storm on stage. There was a great buzz about them. It was a time to strike, and Led Zeppelin 2 is commonly seen as them striking. It's a classic, an absolute classic of the genre, of popular music perhaps in general. And rightly so, largely. Whole Lot of Love, it's got that classic riff. One of those things that all people always cite when they say these were amongst the progenitors of heavy metal. This riff invariably gets mentioned, and it is a great metal riff. There's no two ways about it. The song is more experimental, and to be honest with you, I've never been the greatest fan of it. Some live versions of it are good, but Jimmy playing with his theremin and that sort of psychedelic midsection works well live sometimes. But yeah, I've never been the greatest fan of that. Oh. Okay, what is and what should never be is a good song. A strong, melodic, rock song. It's got, that's what influences it has, actually. It's not particularly folky, or it's not particularly bluesy. You're now seeing a move away, thankfully, from, the more traditional blues that didn't dominate the first album, but it was certainly present. This is a move away. They're writing stronger material now. The Lemon Song is another one that basically they copied from somebody and renamed it. It's not the strongest thing on here. I can't for the life of me remember what the original was. Killing Floor, wasn't it? By yeah, okay. You remind me. I've never heard the original. At least I can't remember hearing the original. But this is a bit pretentious in some ways. I think I don't think this was their strongest effort. Thank You, on the other hand, is great. I think Robert Plant's first great lyric. And a really strong song. There's a lot of melody in this. It's heavy, it's rocking, but there's a lot of melody in this. This is more. When I mentioned Uriah Heep's debut in the last video I did, or the last but one video I did, I said that in some ways it was the missing link between Black Sabbath's debut and Deep Purple in rock, because they had those melodic sensibilities that neither of those two did, to that degree at least. There's something very similar here. This is a really good song. And another one worked really well on stage, but got dropped fairly quickly in their career. Okay, Heartbreaker, we all know. Great riff, great song, we all know about it. Great solo. Living Loving Maids, it's a lot of fun. I never disliked it. It's one of those things, some people don't like it, but it's difficult to imagine the album without it. Well, what was strange when Jimmy Page released the original Led Zeppelin remasters in box set form back in 1990, yes. He'd sequenced it so that Heartbreaker was not followed by Living Loving Maid, as I recall, and it did sound strange. Okay, Ramble On's a classic. Another great performance by the band. More acoustic bass, but a really strong, powerful song. Okay, they're Tolkien inspired, but more good lyrics from Plant. He's learned to move away from that typical blues lyrical theme, which is very repetitive. Oh, baby, yeah, and I'm having a bad day. My dog died. Bring It On Home is, it's a bit more. Actually, it's a little classic, a little epic to finish the album. Again, it gets largely overlooked. Was played live around this time, but yeah, it's probably the one people know the least. Like the Magnificent Seven, isn't it? Everybody forgets Brad Dexter. Everybody. And when you ask somebody to list all these songs on Led Zeppelin 2, this is invariably the one they forget. But yeah, okay, Led Zeppelin 2, it is what it is. I don't I have no problem with it. It's a great album. It's certainly I prefer it over the debut. Not to apart from what is and what no the Lemon Song. Sorry, the Lemon Song, which I think is a bit underdeveloped, underdone, or perhaps just yeah. Well, perhaps I should have done more to it, having copied it. We'll leave that one, shall we? They then threw a curveball into it when they released Led Zeppelin 3. It's generally regarded as the acoustic album, but that is unfair. The second side is largely acoustic, but the first side rocks largely as much as anything to date. It just shows you how perception can taint reality. Immigrant Song is a great opener. I prefer this to A Whole Lot of Love, but that's just me. Short and to the point. There's no wastage in this. It's a great song. Friends, more experimental. Something I think they came back to a couple of years later with Four Sticks, but we'll get back to that. It's all right. It's a decent song. Celebration Day has always been one of my favorites. Great riff, great hook, and one of Jimmy's best ever guitar solos. It's just so lyrical, so catchy. You should be able to hum a good guitar solo. You can hum this one. It's great. All right, Since I've Been Loving You. After having copied blues standards on the first album, they decided to write their own, and it's as good as they would ever get. Even I am forced to admit that this has redeeming features. Not really the direction I like, but this is about as good as it's going to get. And obviously it went on to be a live classic. I don't think they ever dropped it, did they? No, I don't think so. Out on the Tiles, again, closes side one. It's an upbeat rock song. It's a nice arrangement. Yeah, again, this is actually quite heavy for an acoustic album thus far. Gallows Pole, all right, they didn't write it, but they did a good version of it. It's a great song. Tangerine is sublime. It really is, as is That's the Way. And this is Robert Plant's best lyric to date. One of his best ever, I think. Bronyard Stump. Yeah, okay. It's not lighthearted, is it? But it's very catchy. But again, these are strong compositions. Just because they're acoustic doesn't dilute from their their gravitas, shall we say? Unfortunately, hats off to Roy Harper. Why the hell they included that? It's a nothing of a song, really. In hindsight, they could have, as we now know, Hey Hey, What Can I Do was recorded at these sessions, and it is vastly superior to Hats Off to Roy Harper. But again, somebody obviously liked it, otherwise they wouldn't have included it. Or maybe they did it as a favor to Roy. I don't know. But if it's a tribute to Roy, I mean, really, he deserved better than that. Yeah, well, okay. Okay, the fourth album. I have to admit, there's considerable burnout involved in this. I really never need to play this again, ever. It's up there with Paranoid. It's up there with Machine Head. It's up there with Rush's Moving Pictures. I never need to play this again. Is there anything I don't like on it? Yeah, Four Sticks kind of reminds one of Friends slightly. Yeah, it's maybe not the greatest thing ever. I really like the acoustic bits here, though. Battle of Evermore and Guide to California. I like the light and shade, if we look on the album. I like the way it's sequenced. Utterly sick of hearing rock and roll. And ditto for Black Dog and Stairway to Heaven. Still got a soft spot for Misty Mountain Hop. I haven't tired of that one yet. Or with the when the levee breaks, for that matter. Yes, it is the big one. It's the one everybody talked about. It's sold countless millions of copies already. One of those things. If I had €1 for every, yeah, yeah, you get it. Then they came to what is possibly my favorite Led Zeppelin album, Houses of the Holy. It is the follow-up to Led Zeppelin 4, but it is not the copy of Led Zeppelin 4. It starts off with one of the best 1-2 punches you'll ever hear. The song remains the same, and the rain song. Absolutely magnificent, both of them. I prefer the rain song to Stairway to Heaven. It is a better composition. It doesn't have the reputation. It doesn't get played on the radio at least 15 times every day somewhere on this planet. But it is the better song. Over the Hills and Far Away is another really strong contender here. Does not let the side down at all. I just somehow think that I don't know. So there's something missing. It just as it gets going, they stop it and they pull it back a bit. Then it's yeah, okay. They were not about boring conventional arrangements and constructions, but yeah, this is. There's always something about this that bothered me. Although, as you noticed, I'm struggling to articulate exactly what that is. However, I really like it. When it comes to the crunch, however, this is the one I don't like. I don't get the joke. I do get the joke, but it's not funny. Don't like this at all. No. Something that kind of, for those of you who've seen my Deep Purple videos, this is the crunch should have been on would have been on their equivalent of Stormbringer or something like that. It's just yeah, don't know what they were thinking. Dancing Days is a really strong song. It's actually not as strong as what I think as the title track, Houses of the Holy, but it was not released or included because of its similarity to Dancing Days, and the band thought Dancing Days was the superior track. I would personally disagree with that. Not to say I don't like Dancing Days, I do. I also like Jamaica. I had the joke explained to me when I was younger. I've been laughing ever since. Don't like reggae particularly. Occasionally Rush in the early 80s, little influences here and there. Right, okay. I can pretend it didn't happen. But it's just a really enjoyable song to listen to. And then No Quarter, the other great, absolutely great moment, 10 out of 10, classic moment on the album. John Paul Jones composition, No Quarter. Finishes with The Ocean, which is nice, hard, heavy rocker. Played live as well. Again, we're starting to get. I didn't mention it, did I, on the last couple? But we're getting certainly with the fourth album, we're getting stuff that will become mainstays of the live set going forward. And we've picked up a couple here. So the song remains the same, and the rain song, Over the Hills and Far Away, did a long tour of duty. As did No Quarter. They became instrumental set pieces for Jones. No Quarter, at least. But no, this could well be my favorite Led Zeppelin album. I think it's got that. You can see where they've come from from the debut all the way to here. There's been a development of progression that's you can trace it back. It makes sense. But is this better than the fourth one? I don't know. I mean, it's very, very close. They both have things on it I don't like. I suppose the fourth one gets the nod because of its reputation, but personally, I really like Houses of the Holy. Okay, when we get to Physical Graffiti, they took a risk here. There are too much material for a single album, but not enough for a double. So what to do? All right, we've got stuff in the can that didn't make previous albums. We'll fill up the space with that. Always a danger in doing that, that you suddenly realize that this stuff did not make the previous albums for good reasons and not just related to time. But they more or less got away with it here. There's nothing. Is there filler on it? Well, let's have a look. Okay, at the time, a new song, Custard Pie. Yeah, it's strong. Another one they never or hardly ever played live, did they? But it's a strong rock song opener. The Rover was from Sessions for the fourth album, wasn't it? It's my favorite song on the album. Absolutely brilliant. If they had, was it from the fourth album? Well, whatever album it didn't make it on, it should have done. The album would have been better for its inclusion. My favorite Led Zeppelin song, maybe. It's a very good contender. In My Time of Dying gets, I think it's a bit overwrought, to be honest with you. It's ambitious, and nothing wrong with ambition. I'm just not too sure about the execution here. Although I'm sure most people will disagree with me. We then get Houses of the Holy. That was recorded for the Houses of the Holy album. I've already discussed. I think this is a great song. At the time, the band didn't, or they didn't think it was good as Dancing Days. We've already discussed that, but I do. Yeah, pity really. But here it is. It didn't get wasted, and certainly the first disc, the Physical Graffiti, or the first LP, as it was. The Rover, Custard Pie, The Rover, In My Time of Dying. Then the other side, Houses of the Holy, and Trampled Underfoot and Kashmir, we'll discuss now. Very strong. I mean, if the album ended there, it's still going to be one of the best albums ever recorded. If it ended there, that is an incredibly strong set of songs. We don't need to discuss Trampled Underfoot and Kashmir. They are what they are. They're renowned and loved for good reason. And I'm not that contrarian that I'll say anything against them. I think they're both great. Kashmir, the band's best song? It's very possible. To me, there are two that run it close, but we haven't got to them yet. Okay, the second disc, the second record. In the Light, it's another one that's very ambitious. It's one of those things that it took me a long time. I used to skip it for years. It's grown on me now. I never got it. It was just a complete lack of tune, lack of melody. It was a dirge. And one day, years later, it clicked. And I think it's great. Very creative. Very creative. One of their hallmarks. But when they took chances, they very often made them work. Not always, but very often. Okay, Bronyar is probably pronounced wrong, but I'm not Welsh. You may have gathered that. Yeah, it's a short little acoustic instrumental. It would be harsh to say it's filler, so I won't. We now get to something that is my second favorite song on the album, Down by the Seaside. I absolutely love this. It's just a wonderful composition. There are some fantastic internal dynamics, the way they speed it up and bring it down and bring it back. The vocals, was it the mellotron, is it, or an organ? I'm not sure. But just the whole composition from start to finish is absolute joy. Wonderful song. Really is. And then, my other favorite song is 10 Years Gone. I think it's up there with Kashmir and Trampled Underfoot of the new compositions. This is also very ambitious. I know and they get it right. Here they take a chance and they pull it off. This is a stunning song. light and shades of dynamism. It's just yeah, you've got to listen to it. Night Flight's a bit of fun. Probably understand why that one didn't. Was that also around the time of Led Zeppelin 4? Probably understand why that one didn't make it. The Wanton Song, it's another one of their heavier. If we're talking about, them being one of the founding fathers of heavy metal, people will generally mention the Wanton Song. Although I'm not that keen on it. Always thought there's a good idea in there somewhere. Boogie with Stew's another outtake. Honky tonk, rock and roll. Black Country Woman. Yeah. Should have been on Led Zeppelin 3 or should it not? It would have been an improvement on Hats Off for Roy Harper. But here we go. And the album concludes with Sick Again. One of their new compositions at the time. And yeah, not one of the best ones, but not a bad one. Came to life on stage more, and became a regular in the set from here up until the end. All right, Physical Graffiti. If it's not Led Zeppelin 4, then it's Physical Graffiti is their best album, according to the Talking Heads on YouTube. Perhaps should be less critical of those. Yeah, that's for obvious reasons. I mean, just the strength of the first disc. Anything that comes after that, if it's any good, is a bonus. But if that had been a single album, well, I don't know what to say. That would have, it would have perhaps even eclipsed the fourth album. I don't know, but there's nothing on here that's inherently bad. Even some of the lesser moments are harmless. They don't let the side down, but certainly it's front-loaded. Physical Graffiti. The on the second disc, you start to get a couple of weaker moments. But again, they're interspersed with stuff like 10 Years Gone, Down by the Seaside. Suppose it evens itself out, but certainly the first disc. I understand that dilemma, however. There was too much for a single album, too much really strong material, and not quite enough for a double. But I think they did pretty well. Okay, they had some issues, internal issues, which kind of knocked their momentum. And when they regrouped 2 years later to record Presence, then this would not have been recorded if Plant had not had his accident and their progress had not been derailed. This is a product of its circumstance. Recorded very quickly, written and recorded very quickly, and it shows in places. Achilles' Last Stand is up there with the best stuff they ever wrote. It is up with Kashmir as potentially their best ever song. It is that good. This is pure driving rock, metal, at its best. For Your Life is another ambitious project even. Although what has to be said here, this album is all very much stripped down. There's no keyboards or anything involved. Very little acoustic. It's guitar, bass, and drums. Lots of guitar. You admire them on For Your Life for again, trying to be creative with their arrangements. Somehow it doesn't work. Doesn't quite work. I don't know why, but there's just something. Yeah. Okay, Royal Orleans. Okay, we're now almost getting into forgettable territory. It's short and it's inoffensive, but it's not particularly memorable. The second side, as they used to be, starts with Nobody's Fault But Mine, which I thought was a really great band composition until I found out it was another less than original, but they do a good job of it. And this, along with Achilles' Last Stand, was the only one that featured in the live set while the band was still going. Candy Store Rock and Hot Song for No Way don't really do it for me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe trying to be too clever in places. Sometimes the simple ideas are the best ones. Communication breakdown, for example. Good times, bad times. Whatever they were up to here doesn't work. And T for One is, well, they're trying to recreate Since I've Been Loving You, aren't they? Going back to those blues standards or variations of blues standards from the first album. This does not succeed for me. I'm sure, yes, there is some great playing on it by Page. I won't deny it, but we're not discussing guitar solos. We're discussing songs. This album, often seen as the runt of the litter, perhaps understandably, but where it shines, which is effectively Achilles' Last Stand, and nobody's fault but mine, it really does shine. And it's it'd be unfair to say that those two save it, but it's not a bad record. There's plenty to enjoy and discover. A lot of this stuff, it does get better if you persevere with it. But I've been persevering with it for 30 odd years now, maybe longer. And at some point you come to the conclusion that some of it is not going to, you're not going to have this revelatory moment, This epiphany is not coming. Some of it is just not that good vis-a-vis the rest of their output. This might be better than anything Status Quo ever dreamed of, or whoever you wish to pick on, but that's not the point. It's the comparison is always an insular internal comparison against the rest of their output. And this is mangelhaft, as the Germans would say. This is lacking in a lot of places. I don't really want to talk about the live album. I might do them all, because there's more now than there used to be. I might do them in another video. For a long time, the original release of the song Remains the Same was awful. Terrible song selection. Not really representative of the show. Devoting a whole side to Dazed and Confused did not work. Deep Purple got away with it on Made in Japan, but the dynamic performance and what was going on musically on Space Trucking is another world compared to parts of this. There are parts of Dazed and Confused which are good, but there are too many parts of it which are not. But they did rectify that ultimately by releasing the whole concert. Which brings us to In Through the Outdoor, which turned out to be their last real album. This is the other one that if it's not present, then this is the other runt of the litter. And I think that's a bit unfair. There's something about the production on this one, I must admit. It doesn't sound great. Plant is really back in the mix. And it's very difficult to decipher what he's talking about. Based on this performance, he could have had a job as a flight announcer. He's that unclear. And it really, in places, makes you wonder what he was thinking. He must have approved this at some point. But this is often also described as John Paul Jones's album, and in many ways that's true, and I think that's a good thing. There is an argument to be said that Page, under pressure, dominated presence but was uninspired to a certain degree, or there were maybe other factors playing a role. Here there were certainly other factors playing a role, and there was a void in the creative process, and Jones filled it spectacularly. I've always liked this. To me, this is perhaps their most consistent album. Nothing on here I don't really like. Nothing, and that's probably the only time I can say that. I love In the Evening. It's a great, this is great progressive, but rock. They're exploring new territory, and it works. This is the epic. Well, it's not the epic, but this is the, yes, they'd been away for a couple of years. And when you heard this, you would probably have thought, yes, okay, they're back. We can relax. Very adventurous spirit on this album. Southbound Saga, yeah, I like it. They haven't done anything like that before, but this is good. They're trying something, they get away with it. Fool in the Rain, I've loved that song ever since I heard it. I've never been to South America, but just listen to the midsection of this. Close your eyes. It can't be that much different. Again, trying something different and getting away with it. Hot Dog's got fun. A lot of people deprecate it, but it can't be serious all the time. It's very much tongue-in-cheek. I mean, just listen to the lyrics, and if you hear Plant sing it live, or actually, but see him singing live, as a Nebworth. Yeah, I mean, come on, he's taking the piss to some extent, but it's good fun. Why not? Okay, Caroselambra. This is the other one. I would say this is the other great Zeppelin song. This is up there with Kashmir and Achilles' Last Stand. If only it had been recorded and mixed better. If only we could hear what Plant was actually saying. All right, the synths do sound a bit dated now. All these years later. 46 years later. But they probably didn't sound dated at the time. Yeah. Is this the direction they were going to go? Well, we don't know. They never recorded again. It may have been, and there were rumors that Page was, I need to sort myself out. We can't have Jones doing all this stuff again. I need to get my act together. So the next album may have been a reaction against this. I don't know. It could have gone either way, and both scenarios could be wrong. But this is a great song. As is All My Love. It just stays on the right side of fromage. It's on the border occasionally, but it just stays the right side of cheese. The lyrics incredibly heartfelt, I think, as everybody knows. And while perhaps you wouldn't have wanted them to pursue this direction too much, I think as it stands, it's great. And the album closes with I'm Gonna Crawl, which is, yeah, it's the bluesy one, isn't it? We're back to another goes replicating Since I've Been Loving You. They do it well, though. This is, for my money, this is a great improvement on T for One, and it's actually a strong song. I like it. And that was that. We went to hear from them again. We all know why. I think they had a contractual obligation to release one more album, which they did in 1992 as Coda, which was the best of the rest stuff that they still had in the can. Some of it's actually quite good. I mean, We're Gonna Groove, they used to open their shows back in the early days and never made to an album. But yeah, damn fine song. Poor Tom didn't make it to Led Zeppelin 3. Yeah, apart from Hats Off to Roy Harper, it's not as strong as anything on there. I Can't Quit You, Baby, I've discussed it. I can't stand it. Walter's Walk is very similar to, I forgot now. That was recorded for Houses of the Holy sessions, wasn't it? It was another one that was similar to Dancing Days or something. Again, it's not a bad song, but you know, you don't want too many occupying the same territory. Now we come to a couple of songs that were recorded for In Through the Outdoor, didn't make it. Ozone Baby is guitar, bass, and drums. There's none of Jones's keyboard on it. It's a strong, upbeat, up-tempo, catchy rock song. But if we're saying that this was Jones's album, this is a keyboard-based album, it doesn't fit. And on its own, would have stood out, and maybe not in a positive way. Darlene is much more sort of rockabilly, but it is keyboard or much keyboard orientated. Would have fit stylistically on In Through the Outdoor, but at the expense of what? What is it? I mean, legitimately, what is it stronger than? I don't know. Okay, Bonzo's Mantra is yeah. I mean, I cannot get excited about these things. Even on the second album, Moby Dick, it's got a great riff, opening riff, but it goes nowhere, just into some drum solo, which is bad enough on the record. But I mean, you know, they used to drag this fucking thing out for 30 minutes on stage. I mean, yeah, there should be laws against this, really. Probably today in the modern European Union there would be. Yeah, I can't get it. I'm too excited about this. People, I have heard people rave about it and its creativity. And we finish with Wearing and Tearing, supposedly their answer to the Punks. Well, not quite, but a damn fine song. Again, would it stylistically have fit on In Through the Outdoor? Probably not. But a shame nothing more was made of it. I mean, it did get a wonderful live airing, didn't it, in 1990 when Page joined Plant on stage at Nebworth. And they did 3 or 4 Zeppelin songs to close Robert Plant's set, and this was one of them. Huge surprise. But my God, was it good live. And they never returned to it. I don't think in the times I played together since, nope. Well, look, that's it. I mean, that's the catalogue. It's a short catalogue. It's naturally rated very highly. Has its place in the pantheon. They're an Olympian band. There's no two ways about it. There's just too much of it. I'm afraid it's just not really my thing. It's much more Americanized than either Sabbath, Purple, Deep, something like that. Say Russia or something of an anomaly in that regard. Not that they're American, but they just don't sound like anything else. Well, okay, that's it. That's Led Zeppelin. I will probably leave it at that as far as they're concerned. I think I've said all I have to say. I don't know, maybe at some point discuss their live albums. But while I've always liked them, they don't carry the weight with me personally than do Sabbath, Purple, Russia, etc., etc. But there's plenty to enjoy. All right, well, you know what to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do you agree? Do you not agree? And on that note, I thank you for your indulgence, and I will be back at some point with another video. I have not yet decided what it will be, so it will be a surprise for all of us. So until then, keep well, Mashonkia.